Yo, 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 this is not the smartest guys in the room. How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing well.
It's not good when
I
you're back on your opening line. I couldn't even get through my opening 15 seconds without my voice cracking.
I like the I like the new picture on Clubhouse. The Dom in a suit.
Yesterday, I had Dom in a wig. It was one of my favorite pictures. I had this big giant wig on and a curly wig, and I decided to switch it up from the wig. The wig was probably not the most professional of pictures.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna
We
do?
talk, me and you talk about that sometimes. Just because you like it, like I like the pictures, like me in a life jacket with a big wig on, smiling. I like it, but that doesn't mean it's a good picture, Tom. What say you about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. There are probably lots of people that would argue, I show up for every meeting wearing this hat, right? Like every place I'm going that I'm representing Talix Media, this hat's on my head, right? So like I don't know. There probably a lot of people would argue that that's quote unquote unprofessional. Like, okay, I mean, like, look, we're doing okay, but at the end of the day, too, I think what really matters is can I do the work, right? And do I do it well? My choice of headgear is kind of immaterial, right? Like, I mean, I think it's a little ridiculous. So I don't know if you like it, if you can rock it, if it works, I think go for it as long like within some certain bounds, right? Like I'm not going to show up to a meeting, wearing a tank top and like shorts and flip flops necessarily, unless that meeting happens to be at a pool or a beach. But yeah, I mean, I think within bounds, go for it.
We could sidebar. We could really sidebar into this because I like what you said there. If it's functional, if you were showing up to a meeting at the beach, a meeting for Habitat for Humanity where you're building a house or something like that, well, then you should be in something different. Then is it functional for the work you do? I used to be in insurance and we went into machine shops. And in the machine shops, some guys that I sold with wore suits. Some people wore steel-toed boots and hard hats all the time, like and rode the big 250, or whatever it was. It was how you felt you needed to show up in that industry. So that's where I land on that. Tom, not the smartest guys in the room. What's up, everybody? Tom had this idea. It was when to say yes, when to say no to a client. Should you take them on? Do you need to take them on? Are they the right fit for your brand? Tom, it was your idea. I could talk about the eggs I had for breakfast today, but let's talk about when to say yes, when to say no. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that comes up a lot for entrepreneurs and small business owners because there is that fear of scarcity that I think a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of small business owners have that's kind of baked in, right? Because there is no fallback position. There is no safety net. You are it. And your business that you've built is it, right? It pays your bills, it covers your mortgage, it puts your clothes on your kids, right? Like it puts food on the table for your family, all of those things. And so there's this baked in fear that I think a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners have that leads them to want to or choose to, in many circumstances, say yes to opportunities or say yes to potential clients when really they should be saying no thanks. And here's the cost of that, I think, or from my perspective, the cost of saying yes when you should be saying no, when a client is not aligned with your brand, when you can tell right away from that first meeting that they are going to be a headache to deal with, that they are going to suck up time and resources in your business, right, in order to keep them happy or to fulfill their expectations because they have unrealistic expectations for what they should get for what they're paying you, right? When you say yes to clients like that, what you're doing is you are limiting your opportunity to say yes to clients that can actually help move your business forward, right? That can actually help you grow your business. So if you have, for example, if you have a client that you say yes to that is very resource heavy, very time heavy, independent, that sucks up a lot of resources and time within your business, when another client comes along who is a dream client that you want to work with, all of a sudden you don't have the time or the resources to be able to say yes to that client anymore, right? Because you've dedicated them to somebody who you don't really want to work with, who isn't fulfilling for you as a client, and who isn't moving your business forward, right? So I think at the end of the day, that no, while it should be judiciously applied, right? And you should have a good thought out reason for saying no when you do say no. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners would be better off if they just sort of, put on their big boy or big girl pants and said no once in a while to a client that you can tell is going to be a bit of a nightmare. So anyway, that's my thought. I think there's real cost attached, and I think often people overlook it.
Tom, I think you really gut punched me right off the bat with your answer there. I'm reading this book right now called The Science of Scaling, and they talk a lot about a floor to the business, meaning eliminating people that bring you down, that suck your time, that Tom's trying to go here, but really working for that client on that job, on that task is taking you away from flow, target, optimization. And here you are, they said it like straight, like you just said, you're lying to yourself. So I'm sitting here like I got one right now that I probably need to step away from and say, hey, because they take some time. It's a little off. I can say it's off on message, but I'm stretching it. I'm stretching this. And when I'm there, I can't be somewhere else that my focus should be. So, Tom, gut punch received. So have at it, my friend.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I think what's really often overlooked by people is, in the interest of like getting a dollar today, you are removing the potential or the possibility to get five next week, right? That not only is there real opportunity cost associated with dedicating time and resources to clients that don't move your business forward, that aren't ideal for you, but also at the end of the day, I think on a personal level, it can be really demoralizing to have a client or a few clients that eat up a lot of your time, that take away resources from other clients, that take you away from things you want to be doing, right? And you're passionate about as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and force you to focus on things that you're not interested in, right? There's also sort of an emotional and personal toll that goes along with it too. So it's not just about the money, right? It's also about you being satisfied, especially if you're like a single, a solo entrepreneur, right? Or you own a small business and it's just you and maybe a very small team. That really matters in those cases. Like you can't bury that sort of emotional toll behind a bunch of other things, and you can't dismiss it having an impact not only on your work for that client, but your work for other clients as well, right? So like there really is like a broader cost associated with this that I'm trying to encourage people to think about more. And it's in my head because I brought on somebody to help me with business development and sales recently, and he and I have been taking, for the last week or so, we've been taking a lot of calls together, right? And the idea is we're taking all these calls together right now, and then hopefully, as we move forward into, in the very near future, next week or the week after, he's going to start taking these calls on his own, and hopefully we'll start kind of shifting that burden off of my plate and onto his. That's the point of sort of bringing him onto the team. But we had a call just the other day with somebody who almost seemed disinterested in talking to us, even though they had booked the appointment, which was a little bit bizarre, but then also was kind of like dismissive and challenging like the sort of the value of what we do at Talix Media, and then still asked for materials and some pricing guides and things. And so we sent them over. Between he and I, after that call, we both kind of said, like, I think we want to work with this person. If they come back and ask for a quote for a specific project, I might just say, sorry, that's not something we're doing right now, or that's not a service we're offering right now, and just find a way to back out of it, because I don't think I want to work with that person. And it's just, that's the reality. I think it's okay to say no. Not only is it okay, but I think people should do it more. So anyway, that's what I think.
Dr. Tachi, when is it time to say no to the client?
Hey, good morning. Yes, I say no. And it's time to say no to the client when you, from the first initial entrance interview, if you want to call it that, because I think too many people often take on clients without really knowing who the individual is, right? So making sure that you're a good fit for each other, because if you had an in-depth conversation from the beginning, you would have found out, oh, this is not the person for me. And then, for me, it can't, of course, you're in business to make money, but it cannot be all about money, because then you'll take any client without considering whether or not they're a good fit. And it will end up being hell in the end. So to avoid the hellion, you should really do things like have that initial conversation to find out what they want, what their expectations are. And then from that first one, at least, there are always outliers where you're like, you tricked me. But from the first conversation, you're going to be able to tell usually. And that also comes with the money. Can you afford to pay X, Y, Z, or is it in your budget to pay X, Y, Z? However you choose to do that. But find out, can they even pay for what it is that you want, or what it is that they want. And undercharging sometimes is also a way that you filter in rubbish. So that's another method that you can use to avoid that. Charge what you're worth. And then sometimes, especially if I don't want to work with a person, I give them a ridiculous number, and that's how I know, oh, well, you weren't prepared to pay in the first place. So there are all sorts of little devices and things that I use, but no, I say no all the time. And sometimes it could just be that you don't have the bandwidth at that point. So that could be a you thing as well, where yes, you would like to make that money, but you're not prepared and you don't have the bandwidth at that point. So you have to say no.
Stuff, Dr. Tachi, I have a degree of difficulty formula equation in my proposals where I'm like, and to Tom and your point, I think I get burnt on my degree of difficulty. I think that even sometimes when I've added, I probably should have known. So what do you think about that, Dr. Tachi? When your degree of difficulty, you're putting out a number, they say yes, and then you're like, well, you get into the project and you're like, I should just give them the money back.
Give them the money back, because it really is. It depends on how much you're willing to deal with, because there are some people, it really depends on your level of willingness to deal with certain things. There are people that can deal with clients and things that other people cannot. So you have to understand how much you are willing to take. If you can tell it's going to be difficult in the first place, but you're okay with that, then that's fine. But yeah, even if you should have known, sometimes you're not able to know, because they can pay their way into anything or pay off anything. But that's why you have to do that initial conversation and not let the money be the speaking thing. Even if you've given that degree of difficulty there, if you've done the initial interview or the initial conversation, you're going to be able to tell if they're difficult. So I don't know if you're asking how to get out of it after you've already accepted.
Yeah, I was saying, what should you do at that point when you're down the path? Like we're talking about like I mentioned, eliminating the floor. or raising the floor of the business, is there a way to get out?
Is there a way to get out? You can, but will that really be good for you and the person? Because even if the person is a fool, they also are expecting you to do something. They came to you because they needed help. When you said yes, then you're down the road. At that point, you're kind of, you kind of want to put your all into doing it because you said yes. But if it comes to the point, in my opinion, where it becomes disrespectful and you can't do that, then you have to point blank say, listen, these were the expectations that we have, which should be clearly outlined. And it seems that I am not able to meet them because we're not at a good place. So my suggestion is that you really find someone else to help you with this, because that will be the best for both of us in the project. Now, I can give you some suggestions of an arena to go to or how you might like to proceed, but I don't know that I am the right person to make your vision come to life. You just have to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Dr. Tachi. I would say something very, very unsurprisingly, I would say something very similar to that. That I think, once you've sort of fulfilled the obligations of the original engagement, right? I think once you start down a path with a client, you have to fulfill the obligations that you've set forth in the original engagement, right? But once you've fulfilled those obligations, I think, yeah, absolutely, you're well within your right. And probably a good way to do it is to say, hey, look, this has been great. I'm really glad we could help you out with this, but like going forward, I don't think we're really the right solution for you guys. Wish you all the best of luck. If we can help you find another solution, we're happy to do that. But I don't think we're going to be the right place for you anymore. It's the business equivalent of it's not you, it's me, right? Like that's essentially what you're doing is you're doing the business equivalent of breaking up with them with the it's not you, it's me. And I think most often people kind of accept that, but yeah, I think that's good advice. And Holly, what do you think? How do you say no? So do you say no? And if you do, how do you say no? How do you go about it?
Okay, so I have only said no twice, and I don't know that I will in the future. I think I will if the situation arises. But the first time I said no was after a project had started. We completed the initial project, and then they wanted to go on with an additional, and I told them no, because it was like nails on a chalkboard to get through the initial process for me. I don't think it was for them, because I think they were very pleased with the outcome. But I did tell them that I would not be able to continue on with another project, that I just felt like there was too many conflicts and they needed to find someone else. They were not happy with that. Very ugly, as a matter of fact, in the aftermath of it. But I still think I would have done it again. I stood by my decision. And then the other time I said no, and I do have a question on this, is I said no from the get-go because it was on editing a manuscript, and it was so far outside of my comfortability with my core beliefs that I could not make myself work on it. And I knew I was going to struggle with that. And I did not voice that opinion to them, just told them that I was not going to be available to work on their project like I needed to. And I don't know if that was the right thing to do. So that would be my question.
I think as long as you can do two things, right? Make sure that you're fulfilling, things that you're obligated to fulfill, right? And or end the arrangement or end your sort of business relationship amicably, then I think you're fine, right? Like I think, obviously there are like, rare circumstances where things don't go amicably, and that happens, right? I mean, look, sometimes as in, our romantic lives, as as things go in our romantic lives, they also go in business, and sometimes breakups are messy, right? And usually one side doesn't want to break up and the other side does. There's not a lot you can do about that. I think it's so I think as long as you're not like violating your core values, shirking sort of responsibilities or obligations, and doing your best, right, to always sort of keep things professional and amicable, then yeah, I think you're fine to pull out of or pull back from a relationship with a client. I mean, it's nobody has to provide service to anyone else, right? Like, you're not obligated to do it, just by virtue of the fact that they want you to, right? Like, that doesn't carry any weight. I don't know. What do you think, Dom? Or go ahead, Holly. What were you going to say?
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. No, I just had that conversation, just like, I don't know, with a couple of close people in my community, and then like my brother, some people like that. And for the most part, and I'm talking about the person that I did not take on. For the most part, everybody was like, you've got to do what you're comfortable with. But then I also had a couple of people say, you're providing a service, and when you put yourself out there to provide the service, you've got to do it, and set your beliefs and your feelings and all that aside. And so that was the only thing that made me question it. But I also know that had I moved forward with the book they were asking me to edit, I'm just not sure I could have done my best work because of the content for me. So was just going to throw that out there.
Well, I'm going to defend Holly here. Holly does a lot of editing for Motivation Champs, and she does a fantastic job. And I keep bringing Holly on, and the clients love her, and we get on Zooms and everything like that. And she wows them with her knowledge of their books and editing Chicago manuals and things like that I don't even know what she's talking about half the time. So Holly, keep up the good work. Now, as far as Tom, we talk about this all the time. People in this room probably get sick of it. I have this mission that I am going trying to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles. I'm going to help people develop content that uplifts humanity. That's it. Uplifts humanity. So sometimes I'll have somebody come through. I had to turn off a Zoom one day because the guy was telling me such a horrific story of a crime that he had committed that he thought was okay and that people weren't going to mind. And I'm like, dude, who's going to sell this book? Who's going to promote this book? How are you going to be the face of this book? I don't see it, man. Like, how could I ever? So Holly, how could you ever, when you have these basic principles or whatever they are, this happens all the time. And I will have these questions. Well, you have to admit you did this, because a lot of times people have past transgressions. People have done bad things. They've hurt people. Did you own it? Are you accountable for it? Are you helping people heal based on something that happened in the past? Okay, I did this. I admit it. Here's how I'm going to make the world better because of it. Maybe. But when you have these past transgressions or whatever it is, and you don't admit it, you're trying to recreate the narrative, I'm out. And so, Tom, I'm out. So I'll give you a follow-up, and then we got something important to do. It's time for Tom's Thumbs, but give me an answer first.
I mean, just very quickly, I was just going to say to you, Holly, and to the people that told you that you're providing a service, you have to provide that service, check your feelings at the door or whatever. All I have to say is they're dead wrong. Unless you stop being a human being when you walk into your work, right? Unless you stop being a person, then you don't have to leave your feelings or your values outside of your business, right? Like, or outside of work, right? It is okay to have emotions. It is okay to have feelings. It is okay to have values as a person within a business. Like, people run businesses on both sides of every transaction. There are human beings. You don't have to stop being a person because you start a business, right? Like, it's just complete nonsense, and they're wrong. They're just absolutely wrong about that. That's all I have to say.
Tom, good stuff, good answers, and good question, Holly. And now it is time for a great question, because it's Tom's Thumbs, where Tom weighs in. Tom gives us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, like only he can do, on the question. So today, in honor of the season, I think it is, Tom, the question of today is a thumbs up or thumbs down to tax refund splurges. Go on.
So I don't have any issue with people splurging using their tax refunds. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna be someone to sit in judgment of other people for how they spend their money. Right. I think there's a lot of like sort of misconceptions about how people spend money. And there's a lot of like nonsense in the public discourse around how people spend money, right? And like one of the most common things I see applies to, WIC benefits, right? Commonly kind of referred to as food stamps, right? And people are constantly saying like, oh, candy shouldn't be, covered by WIC, right? Chips and Doritos and things like that shouldn't be covered by WIC, right? And basically to that, I say, no. What? Because somebody needs assistance because for whatever reason, they're a little bit short on cash or lower on income than other people, they don't deserve to have something tasty. They don't deserve a treat. They don't deserve something fun. They are somehow less deserving as a human being because they earn less money than you or they have less disposable income than you. Like, nonsense. BS. Like every human being, I mean, I don't know. These are probably the same people that are, thumping on the Constitution nonstop and talking about how America is the best, right? Well, like, have you read the Declaration of Independence? Right? The opening line talks about how people are created with certain inalienable rights, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? The pursuit of happiness. So if you want to take your tax refund and spend it on a splurge that makes you happy, right? Whether it's to buy a thing that you've been dreaming of buying, right? Or to take your family on a trip, or just to go spend money on Doritos or whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not going to sit in judgment of you. Everybody is created with certain inalienable rights that include the pursuit of happiness. And if happiness to you means splurging with your tax refund, then I say go for it. You get a thumbs up from me.
Tom, this is fantastic. I feel so I don't know anybody in this room. Do you feel energized when Tom gives a thumbs up? I feel like a different mojo now. What do we got? Anybody? Okay. Holly gives a thumbs up. I see thumbs up. Julie, what do you think about a rare thumbs up from Tom? Does that make you happy?
I mean, I feel like can hop, skip, and jump throughout the day now. This is fantastic. I have a smile on my face. It's shivers, goosebumps.
Tom, you're giving goosebumps to people. Jimmy in the comments said a rare thumbs up. Hey, everybody listening on. Steve came from LinkedIn today. Steve, is it rare? Steve, weigh in on this because you watch the show. Before we go, Tom, I met Steve at Creative Con, and he has Java Twist. That's the business. He was a vendor there. I go up, I try his coffee that's a twist with fruits. It's for me, man. This is what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm sitting there at the booth doing my thing, and he goes, yeah, and I'm not the smartest guy. And I'm like, wait a minute here. Like, it was just odd. And then he's like, he says he watches. So he likes Tom. Steve, do you like when Tom gives a thumbs up or thumbs down? Weigh in on this before we move on.
The thumbs up, the energy, the vibe, it's where it is. Thumbs up all the way for me.
Tom, go on. What do you think?
I mean, look, here's the thing is I think if I only gave thumbs down, right? Or if I only gave thumbs up, then it would inherently devalue it, right? Like if it was always a thumbs up, it's sort of like I am overall an optimistic and positive person, believe it or not, right? Some people have this impression of me that I am, I am negative, I'm a, whatever. But like I am pragmatic. I will grant you that. But I am a hopelessly optimistic person. Like ask my wife. I am always able to find a positive angle to something, a positive way to look at something, a positive way to take a lesson from something. I am absolutely an eternal optimist. I always believe that things will work out for the best, right? In the end, and so, but I think that it's really important to like give thumbs up and thumbs down. when the topic warrants it, right? Like, because otherwise, what's the value? If I just only give thumbs up to everything, then you'd be like, yeah, whatever, he's going to give a thumbs up. Who cares? Doesn't mean anything. And vice versa. You're like, yeah, whatever. He's always negative. He's just going to give a thumbs down. Doesn't mean anything. So like, all of that said, also just on a personal level, I like keeping people guessing. I like the twist, right? The surprise ending. I like sometimes stringing you guys along, and like, especially Dom, because I'm sitting here, we're both on camera. I can see Dom's face, and I can see sometimes he's not sure which way I'm going to go. And I personally really enjoy that. So like, I like that side of things too. But yeah, you gotta go with your gut. You gotta give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if it's warranted.
Good stuff, Tom. This is not the smartest guys in the room. Now we're going to a lightning round. So everybody's going to get a chance to weigh in. So we're starting with Teresa, Julie, Steve, and then we're going around the horn. Is there a red flag that you avoid when you see a client coming? Is there a red flag for you? Teresa first. What do you got?
I don't know about red flag. There was a lady at my church that was giving me bad vibes when she was not thinking that it was okay for me to buy Mary Kay makeup from a friend of I've known forever just because she wasn't underneath her. And that gave me a taker vibe. So I already put that in the comments. Don't give me a taker vibe. Be a giver. Thank you.
That's a good one. Taker vibe. Beware of the taker vibe. Julie, don't beware. Red flag for client. What do you got, Julie Logan?
Gosh, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. This is the problem when you're a woman of a certain age or a man of a certain age. When people have way too high expectations of whomever they are or what their business is or whatever they're offering, when they think that there's something they're not, and their expectations right off the bat are in your mind a little bit crazy, even if they're willing to pay an arm and a leg. I mean, those are the ones you should back away from very slowly, that have no basis of reality. Extra high expectations they don't see through a clear lens of reality of who they are. I hope that made sense.
I think that's clear sense. Tom, what do you? I agree with that. You got a thought on that?
No, I mean, I think it makes sense, right? Like I think at the end of the day, if somebody has unreasonable expectations and aren't sort of grounded in the reality of the work that they're asking you to do and what it should cost, then yeah, that's a red flag, right? That's a problem for sure.
100%. And I always try to, as a business owner, find out what their expectations are, and when in the interview process, in the needs assessment, learning. You think, what? How are you going to do that? You're going to quit your job and hire a team of 20 people? If you are, you can do that, but not if you're part-time or this or that or half-assed. No, to do what you're saying, you'd have to be all in. You'd have to be all in for 10 years. Could be done. So love that. Okay, Steve, red flags to be aware of. What do you got?
I say when somebody wants to collaborate with you, but it's 100% your end, none on their end, right? It should be a 50-50. I've learned the hard way on that one, right? So collaboration versus you're a client. And that's where I come down on. This is if somebody wants to collaborate with me, then you got to be in the game. You got to put your stake in the game, right? If you want me to make a beverage for you, you got to buy into that beverage. I just can't do it on my own. Does that make sense?
Truth all the way around, man. I'm wondering why you haven't come up before. The microphone sounds good. The message is good. So good stuff, man. All right. We're rolling. Dr. Tachi, red flag to beware of. What do you got?
When someone says, it's only a few minutes that needs editing, or it's only this, or it's only that, which then you do it. If it's only this or that, or you ask them, what's your budget? Oh, I don't really have a budget. Oh, okay, then you don't have me. So people that have like a zero budget, and then people who think that the work is only a little bit, that's an indication that they think they only have to pay a little bit.
Good one. Holly, what do you got? Red flag to beware of.
I think another red flag to add in there is when people don't have a clue really what they're needing or wanting. And I do think that you kind of have to be careful with letting that be a red flag, because sometimes people just need guidance and they really don't know until you get started. But then that's kind of a sticky situation. Sometimes you can feel that out before it ever happens, because they're not ever going to be satisfied or know. If I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. You guys are doing well. Tom, it's your show. So weigh in, my friend.
Okay, it's my show. I thought it was our show. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I think there's two big red flags for me, right? One of those is when somebody asks me or asks to do something, kind of on spec. Like, "Oh, let's do this first one and see how it goes. And then maybe if it, if it looks good enough, if it sounds good enough, if it, generates enough interest, then maybe we can, invest some money into it." Like, no. Like, I'm not here unless I have a stake in the overall sort of profitability of something. I'm not doing anything on spec. Like, like I'm not working for free for you because you don't think or you don't have the cash to pay me right now. Like, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem. Right. And then the other one, the big one for me, and this is like a line in the sand I will not cross, is when people try to negotiate on price without adjusting the scope of work, right? And what they're doing when they try to negotiate on price without adjusting the scope of work is they're trying to get me to charge less for my labor or my team's labor. And that is not something I will ever negotiate on. The cost of labor is the cost of labor is the cost of labor. If you want to adjust the scope of work, we can do that to adjust the price of the project, right? To try to get it within your budget. I'm happy to do that. But at the end of the day, we are not doing this project for less money because you feel like paying less money, right? Or you don't think that it's worth what we're charging. The labor is the labor. It costs what it costs. We can adjust the scope of work to change the price, but we're never going to negotiate on labor, because I think my time and the time of the people that I bring on to help on projects is worth paying a premium for, and I'm not going to bend on that. So those are my red flags. What about you, Dom?
Okay, like you said, it's our show, so I'm gonna give two as well. A red flag for me is scorched earth. People that I'm dealing with that come to me and they have scorched earth in similar projects over with multiple people they worked with. So here they're coming to me, well, I got rid of this person because they did this, and this wrong, and this person started on it and they did this, and this wrong. So wait, you've been working on this for a while and multiple people, the relationship just went like scorched earth, burned up. You hate them, they hate you. Let me process this. Why? Where did these go wrong? And it could be expectations, could be all these other things, but I really watch out for that. And let's see. Okay, man, my writing is too bad, so I can't even give you my second one, Tom. What is that? When you take a note and your writing's so bad that you can't even see it, man. What does that say? CHTA? I don't even know what that says.
It's a contract?
Contract. That is what that says. Thank you. I need you to hang up. I don't like when anybody wants me to work without a contract. They start, well, do this for me, do that for me, and then we'll wait a minute. Now we're into this project. I'm committed. I'm doing work, and I don't have a contract. I don't have some form of payment, down payment, anything signed to let me know when I'm in and out of this. But sometimes you get baited in. It's like a drip. You're like, okay, well, I'll just do this. And then they're like, oh, I'll do this. I'll do this. And then now you're deep into this and you don't have a contract. So, Tom, thank you for your ability to read over Zoom what I have written down. Impressive.
My pleasure. I'm glad I could help you decide. I also have terrible handwriting, and so maybe that helps. That helps me to decipher other people's chicken scratches. But yeah, I'm happy I could help.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, it's time for PSA. You got your PSA up and ready?
Yeah, I got a PSA ready to go.
Have at it.
All right, here we go. Throwing the clock up. So this is a quick PSA at a particular person, but generalized, right? This goes out to a specific FEMA administrator who believes that he teleported into a Waffle House. And I have a hot news flash for you. No, you didn't. You didn't teleport. Teleportation's not real. What happened was you got blackout drunk and you don't remember how you got to the Waffle House. And if you're somebody who's had fun in the South, had a couple too many drinks in the South, you've probably had a similar experience. I've ended up in a Waffle House at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I know lots of other people who have too. And I'd be willing to bet that a bunch of them don't remember how they got there at least one time, right? So Occam's razor applies to the FEMA administrator. You did not teleport to Waffle House. You got blackout drunk.
Fabulous, Tom, and well put. And we all have been there. Why not? This is like what I was talking about earlier. Why not just admit it? Why not admit the past transgression? I got drunk. I had too many. It got away from me. That night got away from me. I screwed up. Instead, he's teleporting. Come on.
Right. And like at the end of the day, too, like, what's the bad thing that you're admitting that you ended up in Waffle House? Like, that's not that bad, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, for something to do blackout drunk, like, is he just trying to hide the fact that he might have driven himself there? Like, is that what it is? Like, maybe he's concerned about that. I mean, that's not good. But yeah, I mean, like, oh no, you went to Waffle House. You bad person. Like, Waffle House is great. It's delicious. It's fantastic. It's like, I wish there were Waffle Houses in the North for like when I was in my 20s and we were going drinking. We used to just end up at the diner having what we called disco fries, which I've learned were later in life were a bastardized version of poutine. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's, we used to go to the diner late night in the Northeast instead of Waffle House because we didn't have Waffle House. But yeah, man, you didn't teleport. You just got drunk and went to Waffle House. It's all good.
It's all good. I had a buddy, Tom. We called it the Circle of Trust. Late at night, we went to a diner after we had one or two too many, and he used to get key lime pie with a side of brown gravy. That was his move. The look you're giving me, that's what he did.
You had me until the brown gravy, right? Key lime pie, I was there. I was signed up for it. I was like, yes, key lime pie is great. And then you said brown gravy, and I was like, that man is a monster.
Hey, you can't judge at 3 o'clock in the morning. All right, I'm up for my PSA. My PSA today is businesses be like the Masters. The Masters is generational. Families watch it. I watched it with my dad. I watched it with my son. Not necessarily this year, but I've watched it with my wife in the past. Everybody can watch the Masters. Every year, the grass looks the same. The holes are the same. They do things to keep the price of the hot dogs the same. It is the most consistent, probably the most consistent thing on TV. Unlike, like we talked about the Super Bowl, it's got a changing market. The Masters says, here's what we're going to give you. We're going to give you the purest thing that generations and generations can understand. They have this. I'm not even a big golf fan. Doesn't matter. I like the storylines. I like to look at the green grass in spring. I like to see people come from behind. I like to see them duff shots and not be great all the time. But the thing I like the most for business owners is be consistent. They are consistent as can be, from the way they dress to the way it airs, everything about it. Be consistent. Tom, be like the Masters.
That consistent middle-aged white guy audience is that the Masters has. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, if that's the case, there's a new generation of middle-aged white guy coming every year too. So I mean, and I think they have players from all over the world, all over the globe, whether they're Indian, black, white, I mean, Asian, they got everybody playing, and they're going to give you the same golf course the same way and just keep bringing people in.
The only thing I can think of, like, here's when somebody talks about watching golf, this is where my brain goes. And I'm a product of my experience, right? But like when I was a kid, on like Sunday afternoons, if my dad put golf on, you could almost you could set a clock to it. He would be asleep within 20 minutes or half an hour. And like my wife, same thing. Like her dad would put golf on like a Sunday afternoon and out cold in the chair, like 30 minutes later. Right. So like, to me, when you talk about, like, when anybody talks about watching golf, I'm like, oh, because you want to take a nap? Because like that's all I think of. Like when people talk about watching golf, I'm like, yeah, you're just watching, like you just taking a nap. Like that's what golf is. Golf is nap TV. It's not appointment TV, it's nap TV. In my world.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. Maybe if that's the reason generations of people are doing it, who cares? All right, I got it. I got the best question in the comments here. So Darren says, "What have I walked into?" Great question, Darren. I want to tell you before we get into some other things we got going on. This is not the smartest guys in the room. For about 4 years, maybe more, 5 years, I was looking through videos. We come on every Wednesday. We now air later in the podcast and things like that. We air through Indie Soup. We're everywhere. We talk media. We talk pop culture. We talk business and really weigh in on it. And we talk about the eggs and Waffle House too. We talk about whatever the hell we want to, but it is based around media, business, publishing. What do you say on that, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Darren, you've walked into Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. I'm Tom. Dom is the other host. We're not the smartest guys. We always try to invite folks in and get people to join the community here who are smarter than us. And yeah, we talk about all kinds of stuff, mostly business, but also a fair amount of nonsense because it's fun and it entertains us and it seems to entertain some other folks too. So you know, the nonsense abounds. But yeah, as Dom said, we live stream this Wednesday morning all over the internet. So we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. And then it rebroadcasts later on YouTube on Indie Soup media, and then also goes out as a podcast later in the week on all your favorite podcast platforms. So wherever you are, we love it if you can come by live, and if you can't, check us out on one of the other platforms for a replay, either on YouTube or on Indie Soup Media on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. You can always listen to us wax poetic about golf watching activities if you're bored driving to work.
There you go. And it is always one thing too. What we try to create here is always a safe space. You know, if you got a question to ask, like Holly asked a question today, or Teresa came up and asked a question. You know, we have a lot of media experts on the panel that come up and discuss things every week. So if you got something to say, come on up, my friends.
Absolutely. And yeah, I got distracted there, Dom. I had to remute you on the live stream. For some reason it had come off mute, and you were all kinds of echoey crazy there for a second. But yeah, we got one more thing to do here before we get close to wrapping things up. We're gonna try to stay on time. We're usually pretty close. We've gotten better about it. We used to just go on for hours and hours about all kinds of crazy stuff. And now we try to be slightly more focused, which is always a struggle for me. But nonetheless, I'm going to be focused, and I'm going to ask Dom to take us on a quick little walk down memory lane.
Okay, it's memory lane time in Pittsburgh. Sometimes you all have heard my thoughts on, as a young child, growing up, the Pirates in the 90s. They had lost from the 70s to the 90s. They get good again in the 90s. And then we get right to the World Series, the game before the World Series, and we blow it. Then we have lost for 30 straight years, broke my heart, led me into other things. But Tom, today, if I don't bump my stuff, if I can get over here, I'm knocking stuff down. In my neighborhood, when the Pittsburgh Pirates get above 500, this is the flag that flies in my front yard. We put this up, which 500 hasn't happened for years. I stole this off of Cameron. He had it up in his bedroom. And then all of a sudden, when we got good, I decided every year when we get above 500, which rarely happens, but now we're already above 500 and it's early in the season. So the pirate flag flies. I taped it the other day because it was blowing in the wind too much. So I tried to put nickels and dimes in it, thinking that might not make it fly around the flagpole. But pirate flag, we're back. We're competitive, Tom. It's like my youth has been restored. I am vindicated and my flag flies. So that's what I have for you for memory lane today.
So here's a question. Do you put it up now, right? even though it's really early in the season, like, is there any concern that like putting the flag up now, even though you are above 500 early in the season, is that potentially a jinx, or any worries about that?
Tom, I have rules at my house, just like when I dye Easter eggs, Mr. Pants. The rule at my house with this flag is anytime they get above 500, the flag goes out. If they fall below 500, the flag comes back inside. So it could go out. I'll take it up and down every day for the next 5 months if I have to. But I'm hoping we stay above 500.
Gotcha. All right. I like it. I like the, I mean, I enjoy the pirate logo, right? Like I like the Jolly Roger aspect of it, the rebellious nature of it. And for your sake, I hope they continue to stay above 500, if only so that means you don't have to take the flag back and forth, but also because I know it'll make you happy. While I'm not a huge sports fan, I get how it can, how having your team do well can light up your day. So I hope they continue to stay above 500.
Thank you, Tom. And I will be a better co-host because I will be more energetic and fun if they do. And since you are a great co-host, Tom, why don't you wrap us up the way that only Tom Langan from Talix Media can do?
Okay. I mean, no pressure, right? Apparently just have to do something that only I'm equipped to do, which I don't think is exactly the case. But anyway, I'll do my level best. How about that? So we've been talking today about like when to say yes or no to a client. As I said at the beginning, I think there's a huge both potential financial cost, but also opportunity cost with saying yes to the wrong clients. And I think as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a leader in business, right? Even if you work for someone else's business, right? If you are an employee at someone else's business, if you're in a position to say yes or no to clients, I think that you should, while being judicious, also always be open to saying no. Just because someone wants to work with you or someone wants to hire you doesn't mean that you have to work with them or you have to do the job that they want you to do, right? You always have agency in the decision-making process, regardless of whether or not you feel like you do, right? You do. You always have agency, and as a person, you should always apply that agency, right? Again, do it judiciously. Don't just say no because you think somebody might challenge you, right? Like it's okay to be challenged by clients. That's actually probably a good thing. So don't just throw around the nose willy-nilly. Be judicious in their application, but also don't be afraid of it, right? It's okay to say no when it's necessary. In fact, I would argue a no is just as valuable as a yes in the right circumstances. So that's what I'll leave you guys with today. As always, Dom and I both very much appreciate you guys being here with us, being part of the community, being part of Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. You're the reason why we do this. You're the reason why we're not the smartest guys in the room. So thanks again for all your love and support over the last, 5 years, I think, that we've been doing this show. It's evolved a little bit. Hopefully it's gotten better. That's the idea. If you have ideas for things you want us to talk about, topics you want us to cover, places you want us to go with the show, always feel free to reach out to either one of us. For Dom, I'm Tom. We are not the smartest guys in the room. We love you. We appreciate you. And we will see you next time. Until then, have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Bye-bye.